AI is incredibly powerful and useful, but it's important to approach it with clear expectations about what it can and cannot do. In our next videos, we'll dive deeper into these limitations, explore common concerns about AI bias, security, and accuracy, and discuss how to use these tools most effectively. The key takeaway: AI is a tool, an impressive one, but it's still a tool. Like any tool, understanding how it works and where it falls short is essential for using it wisely. In our last video, we talked about what AI is and isn't. Today, we need to discuss one of the most important limitations of generative AI, something that's been making headlines and causing real problems in courtrooms, classrooms, and workplaces around the world. We're talking about AI hallucinations and the broader issue of AI misinformation. Let's start with hallucinations. In the context of AI, hallucinations are instances where generative AI models create seemingly plausible but factually incorrect outputs, and they present this false information with complete confidence, as if it were established fact. Think about that for a moment. The AI doesn't say, "I'm not sure about this," or "this might be wrong." Instead, it delivers false information with the same confident tone it uses for the accurate information. This makes hallucinations particularly dangerous because they can be very convincing. So why do these hallucinations occur? There are several reasons. Sometimes the training data is simply insufficient for the specific request. The AI doesn't have enough reliable information about a topic, but it tries to generate an answer anyway by piecing together fragments from what it has learned. It's best sometimes to think about generative AI as a parrot. It knows some words and it will say them, even if they aren't the answer you're really looking for. Other times, the model may prioritize certain content from its training data based on factors we don't fully understand, leading it to dismiss or overlook more accurate information. Remember, AI systems are pattern matching machines, not knowledgeable databases with perfect recall. The consequences of these hallucinations can be serious. We've seen multiple cases of attorneys citing legal precedents that simply don't exist. Complete fabrications that sound perfectly legitimate. In one notable case, lawyers submitted a brief that referenced several court cases that the AI had completely made up, complete with realistic sounding case names, dates, and legal citations. These aren't isolated incidents, unfortunately, and we continue to see more attorneys use generative AI systems as search tools without understanding what these tools are at their core. Hallucinations are just the tip of the iceberg. They're the most dramatic examples that make headlines, but they're actually just one subset of a larger problem: AI misinformation. AI misinformation includes not just outright false information, but also misleading information. Misleading information includes something we will call contextual misrepresentation. When AI systems remove important context or nuance from information, or fail to recognize the significance of certain details. Let me give you a concrete example of how contextual misrepresentation works. Imagine a new Supreme Court case overturns decades of established legal precedent. This is huge news in the legal world, right? But an AI model might dismiss or downplay this groundbreaking decision simply because there aren't yet many other cases citing to that new decision. The AI's training data might contain thousands of references to the old legal standard and only a handful mentions of the new ruling. Based on this pattern, the AI might present the outdated information as current law, completely missing the significance of the recent change. This happens because AI systems often weight information based on how frequently it appears in their training data, not necessarily how current or important it is. Here's another way to visualize how AI systems prioritize information. Think about social media algorithms and targeted advertising. When I browse online, I tend to see advertisements for work clothing, organizational tools, and productivity software. Someone else might see ads for cooking equipment, recipes, and kitchen gadgets. These algorithms have learned our preferences from our behavior patterns, and they're optimizing for engagement and relevance to us individually. But the same approach can create blind spots when AI systems apply similar logic to factual information, prioritizing what seems most relevant based on patterns rather than what's most accurate or current. So how do we deal with this? First, awareness is crucial. Understanding that AI can confidently present false information helps us approach its outputs with appropriate skepticism. Always verify important information, especially for high-stakes decisions. Second, many AI companies are working on detection and mitigation strategies. Some systems now include confidence indicators or warnings about potentially unreliable information. Others are being trained to say, "I don't know," more often when they lack sufficient information. The key takeaway here is that AI hallucinations and misinformation aren't just technical glitches. They're fundamental characteristics of how current AI systems work. These tools are incredibly powerful for many tasks, but they're not reliable sources of factual information without verification. Think of AI as a very knowledgeable colleague who sometimes gets overconfident and fills in gaps in their knowledge with educated guesses. You'd want to double-check their work on important matters, right? The same principle applies to AI. In our next video, we'll explore another critical concern, AI bias and fairness, and how the limitations we've discussed today intersect with questions of equity and representation in AI systems.